What's going on, y'all? So today we're going to do a deep dive on three very similar e-commerce business models to find out exactly which one is the right fit for you. What's going on, y'all? I'm Braden Wuerch. I'm here to provide insane value to you guys every day to grow you personally and financially as well. All right, guys, so today we're going to go ahead and do a deep dive on three very similar e-commerce business models. We're going to talk about drop shipping, white labeling, and print on demand. And all three of these business models can be very, very successful business models on their own, and they can also be successful if combined. But unfortunately, a lot of people utilize each one with a wrong purpose. They do it in the wrong timing, and then many people go about it with the wrong budget. So today we're going to go ahead and cover which one is right for you depending on if you're a beginner, intermediate, advanced, what stage you're at with your online entrepreneurship. But before we get into it, make sure to go ahead and smash that like button for me. Hit subscribe if you haven't already. I'm here for you guys every day to help you grow your businesses to successful numbers. All right, guys, let's go ahead and jump on into the computer. All right, y'all. So first, we're going to go ahead and cover the pros and cons of each one of these business models. And then at the end, I'm going to go ahead and cover which one I think you should go into depending on where you're at, how to utilize each one, and if I was to start all over again today, which one I would go about using and how I would do that. So first off, let's go ahead and talk about drop shipping. So if you guys know my story, you know that I actually started with private labeling with Amazon FBA, but then quickly moved over to Shopify drop shipping. And Shopify drop shipping is where I had my first very successful online business. And even though I'm in other business models now, I still do AliExpress dropshipping. And what we're going to be talking about is AliExpress dropshipping. We're not referring to having other types of suppliers, anything like that. This is using Chinese suppliers out of AliExpress or any AliExpress supplier for that matter. So the first biggest reason why dropshipping is so great is that you have a low upfront cost. Because you're actually finding suppliers that have products that you can then list on your store. Then when a customer orders from you, you just go ahead and you ship it directly from the supplier. You don't have to hold inventory. So because of this, your only cost essentially starting up is to go ahead and set up the store, which is essentially $30 a month, and then your marketing costs. So it's an extremely low upfront cost, much lower than other business models. Because of this, because you're not holding inventory, and because of the low upfront cost, you have an extremely low risk compared to other business models. Most business models, you need money to go ahead and start up. But with drop shipping, you have very low risk. Even if you go ahead and you spend quite a bit of time learning on YouTube, you buy courses, you set your store up, and you even start marketing. Typically with all of that, you still have a lower upfront cost than you would with some other business models. The really great thing about AliExpress drop shipping is if you know what you're doing and you get it right, it's an insanely quick scale up. So this is how you can go ahead and go from essentially zero to a 50,000 revenue month, with just a couple months, if that. I have successful friends, successful students that essentially they go ahead and start from scratch, and they're doing six-figure months within just a couple of months. It's an insanely quick scale up if you know what you're doing. You get it right. So now let's go ahead and talk about the downsides, the cons of drop shipping. So I'm actually going to go ahead and put the first pro, the low upfront cost, as the biggest con. And the reason for this is because there's such a low upfront cost, a low barrier to entry. This means a lot of competition. This means everybody and their moms wanting to get into drop shipping. So the competition is greater, and it is a free market. Since you aren't buying inventory, you don't have essentially anything special to sell. Anybody else can go on AliExpress and market the same exact thing. So the low upfront cost, the low barrier to entry creates a lot of competition. And this isn't always the case, but typically you're going to have lower margins compared to other business models. And the reason for this is since you're not actually holding the inventory, when you calculate in the shipping, the suppliers are going to mark up the price a bit than if you were to go ahead and buy in bulk. Everything like that, you are going to have lower margins typically. Sometimes, depending on the product, the niche, everything like that, you can really go ahead and have really good margins. But for the most part, with AliExpress dropshipping, you are going to have lower margins. Now, a typical good margin for say a store doing $100,000 revenue a month, typically it should be anywhere from like 15 to 40%. 40% being on the really, really high side, 15% being on the low side. It shouldn't be lower than 15% if you're doing it right. Typically, what I've seen is the average for a very, very high performing AliExpress drop shipping store is about 20 to 30%. And that's a 6-figure revenue store. One of the biggest downsides to Shopify drop shipping is a shorter lifespan. And this isn't always the case, but it's typically the case with AliExpress drop shipping. And this is something I've talked about quite a bit lately, is the shorter lifespan. This goes because you're essentially not having anything tangible related to your brand. Even though you can create a brand with your store, good brand presence, brand story, everything like that, you still don't have anything tangible that people can really relate to your brand. But the big thing is you can't really build a very, very powerful backend, because when you calculate in the shipping times, everything like that, it's really hard to have a strong backend to where it's going to be hard for you to last multiple years, at least for that store to last multiple years. So now let's go ahead and talk about white labeling. So essentially with white labeling, let's say you go ahead and you have a pair of sunglasses that you're ordering from an AliExpress supplier, each individual unit shipping them to the customer. That's with Shopify drop shipping. With white labeling, you can actually go ahead and find the supplier of that exact pair of sunglasses and order in bulk, and now actually have inventory. Now, some people will go ahead and then ship that inventory directly out of their house. They'll do that on their own. But what many people do is they'll actually have fulfillment centers, just like if you were to do Amazon FBA, ship out of an Amazon warehouse. You can actually find private fulfillment centers, private warehouses that will do the fulfillment for you. And this is becoming very, very popular, especially among the high-performing AliExpress drop shippers, the gurus. White labeling is becoming somewhat of the norm, and it's essentially a necessity if you're at that high level. So the first pro is a big one, and this is bigger margins. Because you're going ahead and you're actually ordering the inventory in bulk, from a supplier, each unit is going to have a much lower cost than if you were to just buy each unit from AliExpress and ship it over to a customer. Now, when you actually go ahead and buy, 100, 200, 500 units at once in bulk, your unit cost is going to be so much lower. And then you can go ahead and you even have better shipping, everything like that. Another big pro is that you have more control. You're able to go ahead and actually control the type of shipping you use. You're going to have way better shipping. Now you can actually compete with Amazon with shipping times. Instead of having to have the slow shipping times with AliExpress drop shipping, now you can actually ship that same product but have it to a customer in 2 to 3 days depending on where they're at. So you have more control. You can do quality control on each individual unit, make sure that the product itself is good. So overall, you've got a lot more control, and because of this, you can actually work on building a brand. You can go ahead and have your own custom packaging that you ship it in. You could even add any, additives that you want to add, like, bumper stickers that, sometimes you see brands do. But this is where you can actually work on the power of a brand and build a legitimate back end that you can go ahead and now have a long-term lifespan compared to AliExpress dropshipping. Now you can actually work on building a brand that is around for years and years and years to come. So now let's go ahead and talk about the downsides to white labeling. So the first one is an obvious one, and that is a higher or larger barrier to entry, higher upfront cost. Because you're actually having to go ahead and order the inventory itself, if you're to go ahead and start with this is a larger upfront cost. Ordering one product, good amount of inventory for one product with white labeling can actually cost you more than if you were to buy courses and start marketing for AliExpress dropshipping with a store full of products. So you definitely have a higher upfront cost with white labeling. Another con, at least for some people, is that you have to hold inventory. Whether it's in your house or whether you've got a fulfillment center, you're still having to manage inventory, and this is a downside for some people. Because you're going ahead and you're actually buying the inventory, you've got a higher upfront cost. It is a higher risk than AliExpress drop shipping. You're actually going ahead and investing, whether it's $1,000, $5,000, $10,000, whatever you're investing to do white labeling, you are investing quite a bit more money. It is a higher risk. And then if you don't sell that product, if your product that you've ordered doesn't sell, now you're sitting on all that inventory. So overall, white labeling does have much greater risk. So with print on demand, you can actually go ahead and it's very similar to AliExpress dropshipping, but with this, it's typically apparel. Now you've got some other items that you can go ahead and do it on, but what you do is you actually have your own designs or logo, whatever. What you'll do is you'll go ahead and put that logo or design on a shirt or pants or whatever is the product, and then when a customer orders from your store, then it gets printed on and shipped out to the customer. So you're not actually holding inventory with print on demand. It's a form of drop shipping, but now it's actually having a little bit of customization because you can actually use your own designs. Now with this, it's typically apparel. Like I said, there's some other types of products that you can use, but for the most part, we're talking about apparel when we're talking about print on demand. So the first pro is that it's your own designs. So with this, you're actually building up somewhat of a more brand presence, a brand power, if you go ahead and you actually get your designs to sell. With this, just like with AliExpress dropshipping, you don't have to hold inventory. And because of not holding inventory, it's much lower risk. So now let's talk about cons. So the biggest con right off the bat is you need to know your audience. Why I say this is because, if you go ahead and create an all print on demand store, and you have designs that you think will sell, but then you put them out and you market them and they don't sell, you're kind of screwed there. You need to know your audience, what your audience wants, and whether you're going ahead and you're targeting specific sub niches, like, say you're trying to sell Walking Dead shirts and you target Walking Dead pages, or you're trying to actually create your own unique brand. You need to know what your audience wants. Another con is that there's a limited variety. And this might change over time, and it probably will change over time, but for right now, there's a limited variety on what you can actually go ahead and print on demand. Right now it's a lot of just shirts, hoodies, pants, but it's essentially all kind of simple apparel, and it's hard to actually go ahead and have a lot of variety right now. You're going to have lower quality than if you were to actually hold inventory of the apparel yourself. If you were to actually go through a manufacturer and actually get the type of clothing you want, it's going to be lower quality than that. Now, with that being said, there's still some great quality print on demand. All right, guys, so now that we covered the pros and cons, I want to actually cover which one I think you should go into, whether you're beginner, intermediate, or advanced. So I've talked about this in the past, but I highly suggest for a beginner to go ahead and learn AliExpress dropshipping. And with this, you'll go ahead and actually utilize some print on demand, but it's for branding purposes for your dropshipping store. So we're not actually going to talk about print on demand with that. But for beginner AliExpress dropshipping, really learn it. Actually do everything it takes to learn it right, because you do have higher competition. So what's going to set you apart from your competition? That's you having a greater knowledge base, and you essentially setting yourself apart by knowing what to do while others don't. Then when you go ahead and you find out what works and you actually start making money and you start making good money, go ahead and actually start white labeling your winning products. Start replacing those AliExpress products with your own inventory held products. Now with the white labeling, you're going to have way higher margins, and you're able to now really work on the longevity of your brand itself. Now for print on demand, what's great about print on demand, and my favorite way to use print on demand, is that you can actually go ahead and create your own apparel brand from scratch, essentially almost no upfront cost using print on demand. What you do is you go ahead and you come up with your designs, put them on print on demand, and use print on demand to test your designs. One, you'll test your designs, and two, if the designs start selling, then you go ahead and you look for a manufacturer and you start getting inventory of that actual design itself on better clothing. And now this is really, it's kind of a long-term play, but this is how you start an apparel brand from scratch with essentially no upfront cost. You can start with print on demand and then transition into actually a full-on inventory held apparel brand. But all three business models are great. It's just you really need to know what you're doing with each one, and you need to know the best purposes for each one. Like I said, at white labeling is much higher risk, and it's even a higher risk if you don't know exactly what sells. That's why starting with AliExpress dropshipping, finding out what actually sells, then ordering the white labeled inventory of that is the best way to go about it. And this is really setting you up for the long term as well. And then with print on demand, the best thing about print on demand is you can actually start an apparel brand from scratch. But I hope you guys found some value in this video. If you did, please go ahead and smash that like button for me. Hit subscribe if you haven't already. I'm here for you guys every day to grow you personally and financially as well. If you've got any questions, leave a comment down below. Keep grinding, y'all, and I'll see you in the next video.